So loan application, loan objection. So most of the time we'll have this done before you're even shopping. That's what we're doing with Jan now, applying. Loan objection deadline we'll push as late as we can in the process. And the reason, I'll read it to you. This section over here tells you where in the contract to find it. So you want to know, what does loan objection deadline mean? Let's go to section 5.2 of the contract. And so as we scroll through it, we're in section 4.7. So now we'll get to 5.2. If buyers to pay all or part of the purchase price with the new loan, the contract is conditional upon buyer determining in buyer's sole subjective discretion whether the new loan is acceptable to buyer. And so you read this whole dates and deadlines section. When we have a buyer right to object, the buyer's right to object to their loan, the loan objection deadline, that's the buyer's deadline. It's yours. You get to object to your own loan all the way up to that date. So the other agent and I will negotiate where to put that date. I'm going to push it as close to closing as I can get it. If we're closing on Friday of this week, I'd like your loan objection Thursday of this week. We're going to meet with Jan Thursday morning, walk through your loan again, make sure it's acceptable to you. The seller's agent's going to say, wait a second, I want you to push that date earlier in the process because I want them to be committed to buying the house, not the day before change their mind. Yeah. And so it's kind of a give and take till we find a date that we can all agree to. So that's your deadline to object. And so any of these objection deadlines that we have in here, as long as we object properly, right, by the date, and we have a reason to object, like our loan, our earnest money should be returned to us. The seller may contest that. They may say, I don't think you're operating in good faith, and it goes to a committee of 3 real estate agents. We all present our sides, and they decide how the earnest money gets dispersed. Never lost earnest money. We've always terminated on time and for real reasons. But that's what that objection does. It says, hey, I don't want to be in contract anymore. Give me my earnest money back. I'm going to buy a different house.
And you know what, you just made me think of something with objection. It's midnight of that day, right? So there, and often things get done at like 10 o'clock at night, or
you'd be surprised.
Yeah, so just
we're trying to work through something. 8 o'clock at night shows up. We're still on the phone talking. I finally get a document built by 9:30. I send it to you. DocuSign it. I finally send it to the other agent at 10:30. As long as it hits their box on the day, then it's that day.
Yeah. Wow.
So that gets us down to loan objection. This section, on 5.3 to 5.4, and this odd one of seller financing, this is all if you're assuming somebody else's loan. So we're not going to have any of those activated because you won't be assuming the buyer's loan or the seller's loan. And the seller, when you're the seller, nobody's going to assume your loan. You don't have one. So this section will just be blank in your contract. Over here, there'll be nothing. Appraisal deadline, that tells the lender to have the house appraised by this date. Whatever we activate it with, the lender goes out and says, what do I think the value of the house is? That's what they think. It's not necessarily what it's worth. It's their appraisal. This is the date we get to object to it, and this is the date we get to resolution. And so let's say there's a gap between the appraised value and the sale price, and we haven't negotiated it out of the way beforehand. Well, we're going to go to that seller and say, hey, your house didn't appraise for enough, I'm not going to buy it. The seller can say, then I'm not selling it, buy. Or they can say, oh, I'm going to lower the price to bridge the gap. That's where the negotiation starts. This one's improvement location certificate or survey. Most of the time we don't activate these, but we absolutely can activate them. What they do is gives you the time to have a survey done on the property before you buy it. And then you can object to that survey. There's merits both ways, right? There's good reasons to do it, and there's good reasons to not spend the money. I can't ever tell you which is right. You won't know until you've made a decision and walked down the road and had something happen and go, oh, I wish I had a survey. That's the only time you'll know you should have done it.